All right, we are tracking Milton and getting ready for the impacts from a significant storm here in Southwest Florida. The news this morning, as we've been looking at some of the forecast models, has not been trending in our favor, as we expect to see what could be a major hurricane heading over toward the Florida Gulf Coast, likely by Tuesday night and into Wednesday. Here's the latest 11 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center. Winds at 65. So a tropical storm now, but it's moving into a bubble, a pocket of some very favorable conditions, and that's why I expect this to intensify into a hurricane as early as today. And here's the latest updated forecast track from the National Hurricane Center. By tomorrow morning, a Category 2 hurricane with winds at 100 miles per hour, and then ramping up in intensity based on all the models that we're looking at. It's likely going to be a significant storm off of Florida's Gulf Coast and all of Southwest Florida in the forecast cone of concern. And that means it's more likely than not that we are going to see some pretty significant impacts from a hurricane. Now, there's still some margin for error, some uncertainty in terms of the exact landfall. Really anywhere in the forecast cone, we could see this storm moving ashore, either that's north of Tampa, St. Pete, or farther south over Southwest Florida. But I will say the trend and looking at the different forecast models has been a shift farther south, and the National Hurricane Center with this new update has shifted the forecast cone to include more of Southwest Florida. And it's something else I want to really stress here too. Even if we see a storm that moves north of our area, remember, we're going to be on the southern end of it, the southern side, and that's where those winds are blowing on shore, and that's going to create a significant storm surge threat for our area. As we look at the different model plots, these are known to shifts and trend in different directions. Yesterday, you had a lot of these clustered north of Tampa. Today, we've seen a shift south, which is why the National Hurricane Center has also adjusted their forecast. You can see a big clustering closer to Sarasota, and even if that plays out, we would still see a lot of storm surge, unfortunately, here in Southwest Florida. So we should plan and prepare for a significant storm here as we head into Tuesday night and into Wednesday. So you have all day today, all day tomorrow to finish those preparations. Plan on the possibility of losing power for several days if we do see those hurricane force conditions here. In terms of the threats and the timeline, storm surge would most likely happen Tuesday night and through the first part of Wednesday, and we could be talking about several feet of storm surge. We'll know a lot more, I think, by tonight. That's when the National Hurricane Center will start issuing those watches for Southwest Florida, and then we'll have more details in terms of those storm surge numbers. Also, this is when we expect to see the strongest winds, Tuesday night and into Wednesday, as the storm makes its closest approach to Southwest Florida. In addition to the wind threat, something that kind of goes along with that is the tornado threat. Oftentimes, it's very common to see isolated tornadoes spin up briefly if you're on what we call the dirty side of the storm, and will likely be on the eastern or southern side of the system. So the tornado threat, that would be Tuesday night and into Wednesday. And one thing that's kind of not helping out as we try to prepare for a potential significant storm is the rain that we're going to have to deal with today, Monday into Tuesday. So rounds of heavy rain as we see a lot of tropical moisture well out ahead of this storm. So we could be looking at 4 to 7 inches or more of rainfall from today through Wednesday and Thursday. So flooding will also be a concern. Just wanted to highlight some of the impacts and the timing. Can't stress this enough to stay updated and well informed on the forecast. We're likely going to see some changes with the storm. Make sure you are prepared now and know your evacuation zone in the event that evacuations are ordered for portions of Southwest Florida. The next advisory from the National Hurricane Center is due out at 2 o'clock, and then the next full update coming out at 5 o'clock. So I think as we get closer to 5 o'clock and maybe 8 o'clock tonight, we'll see some of those watches likely posted for the coast of Southwest Florida.